The Weekly Feed.
You came along and made my life a song. One lucky day you came along, just in time while I was searching for a ride. You came along, then we were new.
So I'm really happy to have you on the phone. This is exciting. Congratulations on what's kind of been, well, I guess an awesome life, but especially the latest record with New. I know you're about to do a deluxe edition. I mean, this is a great record.
Oh, great! Thank you, man. I must say it was great fun to make. You know, it's always nice to have a new bunch of songs and then get together with some people. It's like the best period making the record, you know, and then getting it to the folks. But this was very exciting to do. This one, I had a lot of fun making it. And it's been received very well, so I'm very pleased.
Yeah. Well, and there's this fire in it. I think it might have been the perfect Paul McCartney album for this era, because it has those sounds that, you know, your longtime fans have probably yearned to hear, but there's a really freshness to it. There's a lot of newness to this record.
Yeah.
Which you know, has to be difficult when you're writing it. You must know that you've got to speak to those people at the same time as trying to do something new.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the truth is the problem's always been the same, really. You think about it, you know, you're writing a song, you're always trying to write something that you love and that people will love.
Yeah.
And it's the same now, you know, it doesn't get any easier or harder, really. You know, sometimes you just get really lucky and you go, whoa, that one slipped out easy, you know, and you have fun. And then some other times it's a bit more of a grind. But it's something I love doing. You know, whenever I try and do it, there's a sort of fascination to it of like, wow, you know, 2 seconds ago there wasn't a song, and now
there is. We
got something, you know. So yeah, it is kind of magical things. I love doing it, and so yeah. Well, thanks for the compliment anyway.
Yeah. And I know, you know, songs kind of do just arrive, and there's never a way to explain that, but there is. I expect a science to a song, because in this record it's full of hooks everywhere, and I don't know a lot of people, and especially over a lifetime, a career that you've had, that has been able to produce so many catchy moments. And is that accurate? Because again, a song idea just kind of arrives from the universe, but at some point you've got to know how to build a house.
Yeah, you know, I think it's right. Both of those things are right. You know, they definitely just arrive out of thin air. But I think you got to know how to spot them. You know, I think someone, you know, building a car suddenly knows when the design is right, or when the engine sounds good. You know, you after a little while you get used to that, and you think, yeah, this is the way to go. As far as hooks are concerned, I must say I just love them. You know, I love them on other people's records.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like you find yourself whistling it or waking up and thinking, "What's that? What's it? Oh, I love that. What is it?" And the best scenario is, oh, it's one of yours.
Oh, right.
You know, you go, whoa, it's the one I'm writing currently. That is a good sign.
Yeah.
So, but it's you know, I'll tell you what, man, it beats working.
Oh, sure. Does it ever get to a point where it is a bit mathematical when you're writing a song? Like, you know the tricks that work?
Not really. You know, you try and avoid that. If that happens, you back off. You know, you start to think, no, I don't want to do that. It's actually not a good thing to do, because what you're going to do, you mathematically work yourself down a hole.
Right.
You know, and so you don't want to do that. If you find yourself doing that, I always just kind of pull up and just think, no, let's just go somewhere else here. And then you kind of surprise yourself. You go, well, I wouldn't have gone there, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it a fascinating process, you know?
Yeah, it seemed to have worked for you. You've done a really great job through the years of never just sticking to one style either. Is it accurate to say that all music is pop music, and it's just mixing around the structures of what you want to do?
Sorry, what was that again? I missed it.
If all music is pop music, and we're not talking about classical, obviously, but if all music is pop music, it just becomes a thing about how do we structure this to make it a glam song versus something like Kisses from the Bottom when you're doing the standards, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I say, people used to ask me and John, okay, who does what? Who writes the word? Who writes the music? How do you do this? And we say, well, there's no one way. Sometimes it'll be me, sometimes it'll be John, sometimes I'll do the melody, sometimes you do the words, sometimes words come first, sometimes melody. And we used to say, and we always hope that we never arrive at a formula.
Yeah.
You don't want to, we used to joke, okay, if we arrive at a formula, we'll bottle it and sell it. But the truth is, you don't actually want to arrive at a formula. I mean, there were a lot of records when we were putting records out in the very early days of the Beatles. There were a lot of people who would find a formula and stick to it. Like bands like groups like the Supremes used to be kind of Baby Love, and then the next one would be very nearly Baby Love,
right?
And the next one would be Stop in the Baby Love, whatever. There was like a very similar sound to some of their records, and much as I loved them, we used to think, no, you've got to avoid that, So you think about what we put out then, and really the truth is there was like no two songs were ever the same.
That's true.
That was the crazy thing. And actually on this new record, I kind of worried about that at one point. I thought, whoa, I got all these producers and these songs, they're not like, they're not the same, like they're coming out of the same room. But then I thought, you know what, that's actually a good thing. Because when I checked some Beatle records, and you've got When I'm 64, you've got She's So Heavy, you've got Blackbird, and these things weren't really like coming out of the same box. And yet it was the same singers, it was the same band playing them, so it worked. There was a continuity,
Yeah. It's such a rare talent for anyone to be able to pull out that many sounds, as most songwriters they're kind of stuck in a box. They find their one song, their one sound rather, and that's what they can do, so.
Well, I feel very lucky that I've never sort of got into that. In fact, I've been very careful in a way, but I just sort of known that you've got to avoid that, because the other thing is it kills it for you,
right?
And that's the worst thing. If you make a song, you go, "Ooh, this is very similar to the last one I did," then ultimately you're going to just think, "Yeah, and I'm really bored. Why am I doing this?" You don't want to think like that. And so for me, it's always, okay, I wrote that. Now let's see what we can do that's completely different. So, and that keeps it fresh for you. And then I think if you like it, it communicates itself to your audience,
Yeah. With that in mind, and I kind of touched on this a minute ago, when you're in the studio, when you're by yourself, you can be anything you want to be, but it does seem like, when you get to the stage and the people have bought the ticket and they've come to see Paul McCartney, there is a certain expectation of what they want. They want the Beatle. They want the guy from Wings. And for a person like you that seems like you're so much about moving forward, does it ever seem like this is a legion of fans that almost force you to live in the past?
Not really. No, I know exactly what you mean, and it could seem like that. But really the way I look at it is I used to go to a lot of concerts, particularly when I was a kid, so when I didn't have any money, and so I'd save up forever, just to go and see an artist that I really loved. And I realized that people do that. And, I was there, I did that. And if ever I went to see an artist who didn't do the songs I wanted to hear, it was like, okay, well, he's cool, but I'm not coming again.
Right.
And it was a disappointment. I go see the Rolling Stones. I want to hear Honky Tonk Women. I hope they do Satisfaction. And so that's what I try and do, when I write a set list. I look at the songs that, if it was me going to see me, what I would hope I would do. Am I making sense here?
You're making total sense, yeah.
So I get those songs, and that involves a lot of Beatles and Wings songs. And then I just look at, well, okay, what about songs I want to do now? Because that's going to break it up. It's going to make it not just, a Beatles show or just a Wings show. And so we do that. We kind of sprinkle through songs that people don't necessarily know so well. I mean, probably the real hardcore fans know them, but so yeah, that's what happens. You keep it fresh, and you try and just the moment you're almost going to get bored, you stop and you switch gears, and you find, I'm very happy with the set list we're playing at the moment, actually, because often us guys will come off stage and say, my God, that went fast. And it's a kind of good sign. It was like, whoa, we're at the end of 3 hours already, how did that go so fast? And, it's because you're just enjoying it. And a lot of things, for me, a lot of interest occurs because, I'm playing, let's say, an old Beatles song, let's say something like Eleanor Rigby. But I'm doing it from this perspective of who I am now.
Right.
So I'm like listening to this kid's song. This is like some 24-year-old kid who wrote this.
Like covering yourself.
And so I'm listening to it and going, well, this is okay. Wow, how did he think to say that? She's wearing a face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Well, that's cool. How did, so it is kind of, it's nice. They're kind of like rediscovering some of these songs. So it doesn't just get like churning them out,
Right.
I think there's such a variety that playing them, And then, as I say, there's the ones that we put in there that were hits, but not as well known,
Right.
And that kind of keeps it.
To the magic
fresh.
moments of the magic moment of the concert right there.
Yeah,
It could be anywhere.
that is the interesting thing. You play something, you think, okay, well, maybe people are just going to suffer through this, and then you suddenly get like a really great applause. You go, well, wait a minute, they really like that. Okay, good, it's good we included it. So it's great, man. It keeps it nice, And we're not just touring every single day of the year,
Right, right.
We kind of have like a week on, week off. It's actually because I've got a little girl. Well, when I get back to England, I've got to take her to school, So I'm kind of half-time dad in that respect.
Yeah.
And then, major rock star.
Something you wear well.
So it's crazy,
Yeah.
But I like it. It keeps it fresh.
With the reissues, the Wings reissue that you've been doing over the past year, do you see this as a chance to finally set the record straight? Because this was a great band, that.
Well,
that
it's sorry for cutting you off there,
That's
man.
okay.
But it is one of those things because we followed up the Beatles.
Exactly right.
In my mind, it wasn't as good, and it was never going to be as good, But you kept plugging on. You kept thinking, I'm going to do this thing. This is something we started. We're going to, and then years later, what happened was once we'd kind of done with the Beatles and Wings, I would talk to some guys, and I'd be kind of going, well, Sgt. Pepper's, man, you talk about that. And I remember some guy, a journalist, saying, well, actually, I wasn't that into Sgt. Pepper. He said, Band on the Run was my favorite. And so you go, whoa, a new generation has come up, and they appreciate the swing stuff. So now, looking at them through the archivist's eyes, I find new stuff in it all the time, tracks that I hadn't heard probably since I recorded them, or since I played them last live. A lot of them I haven't ever played live. So I'm just listening to them and thinking, you know what, that's a pretty good track. And I'd written it off.
Right.
I thought, no, that's not as good. But, somehow you see what's good about them, and so I can see it through a Wings fan's eyes, and that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice how time finally validates rather, some of that stuff in there.
Yeah. Hey, we're just going on West Muhammad Ali Boulevard. Yes,
you're a block away from me is where you are right now.
Give it up for Muhammad Ali. I love that guy.
You've got a great picture of him, a very old picture with Muhammad Ali.
And don't you love that picture? It's funny, someone emailed that to me this morning when they knew I was coming to Louisville.
Yep.
And that was great. I was at a function many years later where I was getting honoured and Ali was getting honoured. And in my speech, I'm saying, it's particularly great because Ali's here and I really respect him. I say, but looking back in time when I first met him at the training camp before the Sonny Liston fight, I said, I was in pretty good shape. I say, I could have taken him. And he gave me a look from the audience like, you're crazy, man.
Well, it would have been fun to hear you guys at least trash talk each other.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Can you tell me about the video game thing that you're part of?
Yeah, it's people called Bungie who did Halo. They asked me if I would like to get involved in collaboration with the guy Marty O'Donnell who does the soundtrack and did the soundtrack for the Halo games. So I just sort of said, okay, talk to me. What's involved? What do we have to do? And it was basically help him on the soundtrack, which I was excited to do. Like you say, I like to do things and keep it a bit fresh. So that was interesting. And then the other thing, he said that they'd like a song, So at the end of the game, there's a song. I think it's over the end credits. So when you finish the game, you get the song. But it was great to work on that. It was another world, really,
Yeah. Like, how do you write for? It's a shooting game, right? It's a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's you're not exactly known for angry music, which is what I might associate with something like that.
Well, in truth, it's more epic music that you get on those games. It's more like a big movie score.
Right.
It's not necessarily angry. It's but it's epic. So the thing, how it worked was I actually just used to send Marty ideas and little thoughts that I thought, this just would work. And then he'd orchestrate a version of it and send it back to me. And I kind of say, whoa, that's great, or you use a bit more of the theme or whatever. And we just kept ping-ponging ideas at each other until he actually orchestrated the final score. So I just probably threw him a dozen ideas of things I think would work. And then he put the epic anger in it all. But no, it was great to do. And, the idea that people are going to hear it while they're playing a video game, it's a whole new ball game for me,
So you never had to sit down yourself and really become a gamer?
I know. I tried it, but I got killed like within the first 30 seconds.
You keep trying. I know you can pull it off.
The aliens got me, man.
That's it. This far into Paul McCartney's career, and he becomes addicted to video games.
Yeah,
it was
finally
that's
the thing. Yeah, well, I got a lot of kids. I got grandkids, and they're the ones who want a free copy.
Yeah. How is life outside of music? You were talking about that a minute ago, kind of doing the couple weeks on, couple weeks off. Is there a lot of life that has nothing to do with music?
Yeah, that's the balancing thing. It's really nice actually. I sort of get home, and really, it's a completely different kind of life. And I say to people, you could either call it balance or schizophrenia. It's one or the other.
Right.
In my case, I think it's a great balance. So I go home, I'm real Mr. Ordinary. I'm talking to all the mums at the school, and it's just I'm just lead a real ordinary life, really.
Yeah.
And then I get back out on the road, and I'm playing Louisville, and I'm playing to the crowds and loving it. So it actually keeps the both ends of it fresh. I think if you're out forever, if you're out for 3 months on a tour, you forget where you're even playing.
Yeah.
Where are we? Is this Des Moines or in Delaware,
right,
or where is this? Where am I tonight? So this way it keeps it you keep interested. We were just in New Orleans, and it's like, hey man, this is New Orleans, and you appreciate it more, I think, So listen, I'm just about to get to the gig, so I think I'm being given wind-up signs.
Yeah,
here.
that's completely fine. Paul McCartney.
You good with that, Carl?
I'm great with that. I'm so honored to talk to you. I'll be at the show tonight. Thank you so much for gracing our good city here.
All right, man. No, thanks for having us.
The Weekly Feed.